Hey everybody, DJ Lou here. I find myself outside once again, now comparing hand trucks. We have the Muver M6, also known as the AMG 750. Over here to my left, the Rock and Roller R12. Which one reigns supreme? Let's find out. Alright, so let's first talk about the one that I've had the longest, the Rock and Roller R12. This happens to be the second one that I've owned. The first generation one actually has slightly different tires on it, but still pretty much had the same exact characteristics. Rolls very nicely in gravel, tall grass, roads, smooth surfaces, rough surfaces. This definitely has you covered. Again, it's very lightweight. It actually folds in quite a bit. You just loosen these two nuts, you contract it in, everything folds down very nicely. It's been a really good cart, but there are some flaws to consider. And I mentioned this is my second cart because over here where you can't see, I actually had a shear pin break on the second day that I had used this, which was a little disappointing given that my first one seemed to have a little bit better quality build on it, but I just chalked it up as just a minor issue. And this was going to be my secondary cart anyway, so I just threw a bolt on there to keep things together. One of the more interesting characteristics, since this is so lightweight because it's a tubular frame, is that this whole front bar where your front casters are, over time definitely starts to cave in and gets a severe lean into it. And eventually, once it gets to a certain point, when you're pushing around the cart will definitely want to go into a certain direction, basically essentially falling forward. It's not the end of the world, and my original cart still holds up, but it definitely has a very significant lean in it. Will hold up for quite a while, I don't know. I still actually have my old speakers still standing on those, so we'll see how much longer that lasts. But that's something definitely to consider. And another thing to consider, because of the lightweight tubular frame, that also extends to its arms, its folding arms. And I don't know if you can see this in the picture. You probably can because of the way the deck is. But you see that this is already has a significant lean. This one not so much. And then my older cart, it's even more. And part of the problem is because you're carrying so much weight, and especially once you start hitting any kind of surface or any kind of obstacle that you deal with, it's just the laws of physics. Things are going to want to bend and go where they're not supposed to go. And I've definitely had some issues with this. Now, again, this doesn't mean that it's a bad cart. I mean, for the price, how light it is, how compact it ultimately gets, it's actually a very good buy to consider. But again, with some of these issues, I decided that I needed to look for another solution out there that would hold up to a little bit more rigor. I happen to go through a lot of farms and barns and tents, and I tend to go over some fairly rough surfaces, so I could see that these carts were going to take more of a beating than they seemed wanting to take. So let's go over to the Muver R6. Now let's get some of the negatives out of the way first. This is a heavier cart, and because it uses a bit heavier of a round tubing design, it just weighs more. There's just no getting around that. And it also does not fold nearly as compact as the R12. So consider that you'll be carrying around a little bit more heavier cart, and also that you have to make some more room in your car or van or trailer, whatever you're using. But the negatives definitely outweigh the positives in this case. And with one of those positives, we have the handles. And the handle design, when you fold out, actually has this interlocking mechanism. You simply twist the knobs. It locks very nicely in place, and it basically seems it just will not budge. It has not budged in the use that I've had so far. It just seems that it has more meat. It's much more substantial than the R12, and I don't foresee this giving in any way unless you severely abuse this, put much more weight than what is called for on it. Another nice feature is this carpeted deck. This definitely just helps with distributing weight a little bit nicer across the platform. And we can't forget about these nice large center wheels that allows for a 0-degree turning radius. I don't know how many times I had to kind of budge my R12 around just to get around some corners at times. this solves that issue and then some. It's effortless trying to move this thing around and turn it. And despite having small front and rear wheels on this compared to the R12, this still actually glides quite well through the gravel and grass and whatnot, you know, all the obstacles that I've gone through thus far. So one more negative I want to mention is there's a bit more maintenance that is required to maintain this cart. There are a number of bolts and just areas that require some attention. You know, make sure you keep things lubed up, make sure everything just stays in good condition. You know, the R12, for the years that I had them, just, you know, you fold and go, just required a little bit less maintenance. This one's definitely a little bit more. However, the negatives that this cart has totally outweigh the positives in the end. This thing is just, it's a beast. It's absolutely solid. It, you know, has defied my expectations. Yeah, I expected a good cart, but already I've been far more impressed with this than I had anticipated. Is this the perfect cart? For me, it kind of is. You know, I do wish it was a little more compact, just so I would have a little bit less space to have to put this somewhere. Yeah, I do wish that it would require slightly less maintenance, but to be honest, you know, it's just par for the course of what you need to do as a mobile DJ to just kind of keep everything together. So I absolutely recommend this cart. The R12 is definitely no slouch, and if you need something that's slightly more compact, more lightweight, absolutely consider that. But just consider that, you know, with that purchase, you may have to do a replacement sooner than this. All right, everybody, there's a video, and I hope you liked it. And if so, hit that like button, click subscribe, hit notifications, do whatever social media is telling you to do right now. And if you like more videos like this, check out my 4 DJs Only playlist.